K 102.5 FM. I'm here with my second guest, Mr. Tom Elwood. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning.
All right, and he is running for City Council Ward 2, Position 1. And so we're going to go through some of the same questions, maybe worded a little different just based on our conversation that we went through with Dr. Coleman. So we're going to just start right out with an introduction of yourself and let people know why you are running for this position.
Well, I'm a lifelong resident of Jonesboro and the north side of Jonesboro. I live at 1520 Pratt Circle. It was 145 Pratt Circle back when we were in the county, but we got annexed a large area north of Johnson Avenue, and we kind of got labeled the north side. There's always been the Fisher Street, and that was always in the city council. They kind of expanded the ward to take us in, and we're kind of the I don't want to call it stepchild or what. We're not top priority on it, and we're pretty independent out there. We have a lot of individual property owners that actually own their property that don't have a bank note on it, which to me is kind of important. But we're not as a cohesive group, so we don't really rally around, and we need streets and roads. Everybody talks about, social issues and business issues. Well, they all revolve around the street. You have to have roads, and they have to be wide enough so that you can walk, ride a bicycle, drive your car. Don't risk your life every time you try to go to town.
Yes, sir.
And I think if we do the things that we need to do, modernize. I mean, we got streets over there. It's off of North Church. They got the real narrow streets, Pine, and I don't know some of the names, but they are so. Yeah, they're named after trees, which is great. Yes. I like that. But they're not modern. I mean, they're real narrow. I don't know if they rode horses down them. I don't know. But it's not made up for a modern society. And we need to build that road they've been talking about that connects North Church with Patrick Street. And that way you can get police and fire to come back there. And the city has 13 acres that's been donated. I went to church with the man that used to own it, Bert Cruz. And they got the North Side Ballpark out there. When they built that was a major improvement, but it stopped there. There hasn't been any more investment. But if you connect those two streets, you add 13 acres of park to it, you're going to dramatically change the north side of Jonesboro. You're going to get a restaurant over there. You're going to get a bank. You got people coming in these tournaments and stuff. The market's there, but if you don't have a street, I don't know how you can build a business.
All right.
Those are just some of my thoughts.
All right. Well, we'll get into some more topics. We have a Facebook question. Ms. Leganzi says, what are your thoughts on the proposed A-State corridor, as that would be a major road change that would affect not just the north side, but all of Jonesboro?
I'm very excited about it, to tell you the truth. Now, we have to talk about downtown Jonesboro here just a little bit.
Okay.
You have to have a reason to go downtown. It's great to connect ASU with the Main Street and downtown, but you have to have a destination area. We got everybody talking about water parks. We need a downtown theater. Yeah. It needs. Everybody said, "Well, we got the Forum." Well, the Forum. I'm coming up on my 40th high school reunion, okay. And the Forum was old when I was a kid.
Okay.
I'm talking about a modern theater. All the schools around the areas, I don't care if you go to Marmaduke or West Side or where, they have a theater program. Okay. They're serious about it. We are training, and that's an economic enterprise. Everybody might roll their eyes and say, well, we're talking about a theater, but anytime people get together and do something, that's an economic activity. And we have some very talented people, but they have nowhere to go. I mean, it'd be great. Oh, I'm going to Broadway. But if you get to Broadway, it kind of help if you had a little bit of a background to get you there, to get you into the entertainment industry. I'm talking about some pretty big ideals here, and it would be profitable.
What do you think that the city council or other individuals that make the decisions would be willing to entertain the idea of possibly moving the Forum to a different location that also offers better parking? I know that has been one issue that I've noticed.
Sure, that's kind of what I'm talking about. I would probably leave the Forum the way it is, because that's kind of a training area. You could use it for the younger artists and people coming up. But I'm talking about a state-of-the-art, several thousand. We had the mayor's debate at Jonesboro High School, and they had a theater there, and it was very professional, and it's beautiful. And you can't tell me that the city of Jonesboro but you can't have events there because it's on a school property. You can't sell tickets, and there's liability issues, and there's all kinds of issues. People you might not necessarily want on the school grounds, because you want to limit that to education, and that's what it's for. But we need a place where you can step beyond that and start developing your career, your professional career, and it benefits everybody.
Okay. So this would tie into possibly quality of life and economic growth.
Exactly.
All right. We have another question on Facebook. Mr. Ganzi says, what lessons have you learned from your previous run for mayor that has helped you in this campaign?
Well, I appreciate the question, and thank you. I think that's an excellent question. I've learned so much. That we're all people.
Okay.
And it all comes down to people. I mean, I don't care what you're doing. We got to be kind to each other, like Dr. Coleman said, and I respect Dr. Coleman. I'm not running against Dr. Coleman. I'm running, well, for a lot of practical ideals, like fixing the bridge on Patrick. It's sinking, and the city's ignoring it, and you're going to have to replace that bridge before you can ride in the road. Well, you need to get that in the budget right away. It should have been in the budget 2 years ago. Like I said, that bridge is 40-something years old. It's a double-lane bridge. You need 4-lane bridge if you're going to build a 3-lane road. I mean, the bridge is the bottleneck. The utilities have already been moved on Patrick, City Water and Lights ahead of the game. The city has lagged behind it. So, but yeah, the things I've learned is just we're all the same. Talk to people. We all even agree on more things than you but like even on the sidewalk issue, they tried to make it dividing people. Well, the haves and the have. Good Lord, you know how many people like to get out and walk in the evening? I don't care how old you are, or how much money you got in the bank. If it's a beautiful evening and the sun's setting and the wind's blowing and the birds are chirping, I mean, who cares how much money you got?
Okay.
You know.
All right. Well, that leads into a quality of life type question. When it comes to accessibility for just all of the residents, and including those individuals with disabilities.
Sure. Which is going to be all of us eventually.
I've heard talks of how some of the jet bus stops could be improved to allow to incorporate more ramps for those in wheelchairs or walkers or whatever the case may be, and just
I'm kind of going through the same thing right now with my dad. His health is failing a little bit, so he needs a walker sometimes when he gets out. I took him for a ride the other day because he'd been in the hospital for a couple of weeks, and he's an outside guy, wants to look at the trees. Pulled up to the library, right? I would say, man, that'd be a good place to get out, but you can't get out of your car and go to the library. The curbs there's about. You have to get out in the street. Now, I'm not saying it's not accessible either. The Craighead County Library. I mean, you can get there, but it's not going to be easy to get elderly person, because they're on a time limit. They may have 5 or 10 minutes to get over there. They ain't got all afternoon. But we ended up going across the street and sitting on a little cement wall that one of the houses had there. It's a beautiful old wall. It's an old house. And just sat on the sidewalk and kind of enjoyed the day. But I just noticed that, man, if you got trouble getting around, a walker or cane or anything, there's some real obstacles out there, and they're still out there. So.
Okay. All right, and then what about other issues that pertain to quality of life? You mentioned already the sidewalks and widening the street, improving the streets. What about some of our local parks and recreation areas? Oh,
I've got some ideas on that too. The parks are growing, and obviously it's a big budget item, but my sister told me this when she's a grandmother now. Everybody thinks about parks, and they think about it in different ways. They think about it when they were a kid. They may think about it when they had kids, or they may think about it as a grandparent. Well, let's say you're a grandparent and you go out there and you got your kids, you got your little 7-year-old, and there's a bunch of 13-year-old kids out there playing. They're kids, and they want to interact. But my sister's sitting there as a grandmother. I can't supervise 4 or 5, 30, and they want to play with the younger kids. Younger kids want to play with them. There's no authority figure there.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to arm the parks, but what I like to do is have a summer works program for some of the younger kids, 13, 14 years old. Have them be like a miniature park ranger, assign them to a park where they spend the afternoon there, and they get paid some money. Maybe get them a T-shirt where they all, people will know that they're employed and they're doing that. Keep the trash picked up, monitor the park, kind of get to know the kids that are playing at the park. If there is a problem at the park, they can notify somebody in authority, police or whatever. If there's a gang element or whatever's trying to brew up, they would be the ones that would, they're better eyes and ears than an old person coming around there, because they're involved and they're sharp. But have them have ownership of this park. Plus, they need a little pocket money. They need some extra money. Okay. I mean, to me, it's a workable idea, but it still goes back to people.
Okay. Okay.
You have to have somebody that has the ability to communicate with young people, to set this up, to determine how much money out of the budget. You know, you can't, bust the budget of it, but I'm sure there's enough money in there to pay, I'm not talking about a minimum wage or just money. I mean,
okay.
just.
Well, this may be something where a special grant comes in to play. All right, I want to talk about affordable housing.
Okay.
And the topic that not a lot of people like to discuss, which is gentrification. We talked a little off air about, these different pockets of apartments that have been popping up. And many of them are not as affordable
as you might think. Yeah.
Yes, and so it's pushing people out of the area that they once lived in for many, many years. So how can the city council maybe talk with, or what kind of conversations can you have with developers to ensure that people are not pushed out of their homes or out of their neighborhoods?
Well, there's all kinds of developers. I mean, there's large out-of-town developers, there's local developers, there's all kinds of people that are interested in development. What concerns me on these large apartment complexes is security. You're expecting the Jonesboro Police Department to provide security, and you're running a multi-million-dollar business. Mm-hmm. You don't tell me you didn't have enough money in your budget to have private security. There's another jobs element. Let's say you're living in that apartment ability or something. Well, they need somebody, to make sure what's going on at night, and you need private security. So it should be a requirement. I hate to use the word requirement, but it should be a consideration that they have to provide security above and beyond what the city provides. Because as an individual citizen, I have no interest in managing an apartment complex. You sending my police officers out there on a regular basis, and they need to get paid. They got families. They need to get a raise. They don't need to be doing the business for them. Okay. So, to me, it's just people. I mean, you go back to managing people, and people, you have to be secure, and there are just better ways of doing things.
What about making the apartment or the homes just more affordable in general? Helping the residents to maintain a nice living environment.
Yeah, well, some of that is a society problem. You go back to your banking system. You go in the bank and say, man, I'm going to build an 800 square foot house. He's going to look at you like, well, I don't know where you're going to get the money. You ain't going to get it here. But yeah, we need it wouldn't hurt if you had like a whole neighborhood of very small. The house I grew up in and still there, and I still sleep there every night, is less than 1,000 square foot.
Okay.
I never could understand why somebody wants a bedroom like sleeping in a basketball gymnasium. I mean, once you go to sleep, you're asleep. I mean, I could sleep in a hallway and be comfortable. Some of it's like, and some of the older people explain it to me. They like to have a house big enough that when the grandkids come, they all have their own room. Okay. Now, how realistic is that? Because when grandkids come, the last thing they want to do is hang around. Well, maybe not. They'll hang around grandma, but they don't really want they don't want to sharpen wood with a pocket knife. Okay. They want to be kids.
Okay. All right. You tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We're speaking with Mr. Tom Elwood, who's City Council candidate for Ward 2, Position 1. I want to say good morning to Mr. Sam Harris, Mr. Jeff Presley, Chelsea Chapman, Christy Mathis Conway, and Steffi Tamara. All right, so also I want to get into, even though you are elected for a particular ward, you make decisions that affect the whole city.
Sure.
How can city council members work together to ensure that the needs of the residents are getting met?
Well, one way is just to drive around town.
Okay.
I mean, there's even kind of rules where they don't want councilmen to. They almost act like you're having a meeting. Like, say, you're friends with another councilman. You just drive around looking at something. Somebody, oh my God, there's a red flag. There's 2 city councilmen in the car driving down Patrick. How's that going to hurt anything? Like on Patrick, when you go down there, that bridge, and this is how I know the bridge is sinking. Not only that, you drive over it, you dip down, you level out, and you come up. It doesn't take rocket science. It doesn't take an engineer. I've actually stuck my head under there and seen what's going on. There's a water pipe. There used to be a huge ditch right beside the Patrick, and they filled it in. That's what we need to do, is fill in these ditches with pipes so you can walk on them, ride on them. It'd be more sightly, or I don't know if I'm using the right term.
Okay.
But the pipe is too short, and it dropping all the water off short of Lost Creek.
Okay.
Now, I think they had it extended out at one time, but the force of the water coming down there broke it off. you need an elbow or a 45 when that water comes and it meets that other water so it can work together and go down the middle of the stream. But it's dumping all the water short right where the foundation is of the bridge.
Okay.
And you can imagine how long that's going to last. So.
Yes.
And it takes a long time to replace a bridge. That's one of the reasons I'm running for city council. Somebody has to look ahead. It takes 4 or 5 years to replace a bridge. It's not on the budget right now. It should have been on the budget 2 years ago. Replace the bridge, then widen the road. You don't have to do it all at one time. And you can't afford to do it all at one time.
I can imagine. All right, so let's bring it back to ward level. How do you propose to try to reach as many of your constituents as possible? I do understand that a lot of people don't come out to city council meetings.
No, I don't blame them either, and I don't blame them.
They don't get to know who actually represents them. They
Exactly.
don't express their concerns enough. How do you hope to, if you are elected, how do you hope to reach as many residents as possible and get them really proactive about?
Well, the only thing I can do is be myself. I mean, that's the only thing I can do. People know me. I've been around. You're even kind of getting to know me a little bit. Yeah, everybody gets so caught up in the financial things. Well, this councilman's paid off by this guy. And that's maybe years ago that was true, but you're living in an open society now. Everybody knows, you know, it's a lot different. In a lot of ways it's the same. In a lot of ways it's different. I mean, going to the city council meeting, I've been looked down. You know, I tried to talk about the sidewalks and how you connect neighborhoods by filling in the ditches.
Okay.
Because there's ditches that connect every neighborhood in town, and they're unsightly and they're expensive. You put a pipe in the ground, you put dirt on top of it, you put a fence on both sides of it. Hell, there's your walking trail, there's your bike trail. Doesn't cost you anything. Okay. And you can connect neighborhoods to neighborhoods. All you want to do is have so you can get around. They don't all have to be. Like when you talk about a sidewalk, well, it's got to be cement, it's got to be 2 inches deep, 4 foot wide. Lord, it doesn't. You just need a place to walk, you know. Because, concrete is an old building material. It's a great building, but it cracks and it does all kinds of things. There's better concrete now. There's better blacktop. There's grass. There's that material they run on tracks. I don't know what the cost. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to doing it, but when you start making an ordinance and making a law, then you get down, well, what's the specifics, and then you got to get down to this and that, and then you get you kind of create a problem for yourself when you try to do it through the if you try to nail it down in writing, you don't leave yourself enough leeway to make any kind of adjustments, and adjustments are critical, you know.
Okay. Well, if you are elected, would you try to work with other departments within the city to explore maybe better options or better building materials that are more sustainable or longer lasting, to make these improvements that are necessary around town?
Yeah, it has to be. And nobody's asked the workers either, the guys that work on the street department, hey, what do you think about widening the street or how to do it? They're the last person that gets consulted. And if they bring anything up, they'll be looking for a job, because that's just the way the world works.
Okay.
But yeah, we need to discuss. We need to talk about all kinds of things. But we need to. Talking is one thing, but we're going to have to start doing something. I mean, the clock is ticking right now on all of us. Like I said, I'm going to my 40th high school reunion. I'm not 10 years out of high school. I'm almost a half a century. And my time here on this earth is going to come to an end, and it's changing. Like I said, all the time it's changing. I see things that we need to be doing things. I mean, it's great to talk, but we need some action too on these things.
All right. So, are there any opportunities for individuals to meet you, to come to any other public speaking events that you're going to be participating in?
Well, I hadn't really pursued that idea. You can always talk to me. I mean, I don't really remind anybody. I've kind of got a unique look to me, so I kind of stick out in the crowd. As a kid, I couldn't get away with anything because Elwood did it. I seen him. It ain't like some people kind of blend in, but I'm sorry, but I kind of stick out, and it's good and bad. And but no, you can talk to me. This Friday at the Jonesboro Elks Lodge, we're having our Law and Order breakfast where we honor all the police, firefighters, EMTs with a free breakfast. Okay. The lodge has been doing that for a long time. Okay. And we'd like to do it on Friday when they're actually on duty, because they'll bring the fire trucks out there and bring the police out there. And but we respect all of them, and we need all of them.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I'll be out there with that. But
so this Friday night?
No, it's Friday at noon. I think.
Friday at noon.
Yeah, it's breakfast. It's
that's right. I'm sorry.
It may even start earlier than noon, but we'll probably wrap up around noon or 1 o'clock. But yeah, if you want to meet a fireman or a policeman or EMT, they're all going to be out there eating breakfast Friday.
You'll be out there as
I'll
well?
be out there. Yeah.
All right, so if you would like to meet Mr. Tom, we have one more question. Mr. Elwood, I would love to see our councilmen being more proactive in the community, especially in their wards. What things do you plan to do for Ward 2? I think, I myself live in that ward and would love to see more happening. Chelsea, we've kind of talked about some of that. You might have to go back and watch the beginning of the video because we did talk about.
Yeah, the first thing I want to do is I want to get that bridge replaced.
Okay.
I don't care who the councilman is, who's the mayor. That bridge has to be replaced, and the sooner the better.
All righty. I want to say that the state county fair is coming up on September 17th. Will you be at the fair? Well,
no. Me and my sister talked about it. My sister's actually running for justice of the peace on the north side too, because we had some of the same concerns, and she's actually a better candidate than I am. If you want to get right down to it, she has an accounting degree, and in any of these positions, you have to have good information or you can't make a good decision.
Okay.
Well, we were going to share a booth out there, but then we got informed that no, you can't share a booth, and they're $300 a piece. Other fairs are $100 or maybe $75 for a booth, but they actually want $300, and they don't want any sharing of it going on. So it's not cost effective. But I'm going to visit the fair and I'm going to spend some money out there, but I'm not going to sponsor a booth. No.
All right. Well, be on the lookout for Mr. Tom floating around at the fair and the other city council members.
That's a good term, floating around. I like that.
All right. You've been tuning to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I want to thank everyone for their questions and their feedback. Go back and watch the videos. They will be available on YouTube and our website. Join us tomorrow as we have 2 more candidates, Mr. John Street and Miss Amanda Donovan. Thank you very much. I hope everyone has a great day.